importance, such as boards of statutory corporations and embassies. Now I'm no longer talking on behalf. I tried to lobby, but this never works. We lobby big time, but I think it. And I even told the minister, I said, I don't know what the appointing authority, what glasses they wear when they appoint. Because when they put the appointing glasses, the youth does not exist. The ones who exist are only adults. Somehow women exist, but the youth don't exist. We are rise to that challenge. Next. Why youth participation? Because it's a human right and it's enshrined in the Convention on Rights of the Child. It is also very important to self-development through participation of young people to develop skills and gain confidence. If you participate, you gain confidence. You know, even mere coming to these meetings, if some of you have never come to this meeting before, the mere fact that you have come today, your confidence levels have, jacked up. But also the Republican Constitution also reserves the right to development. And young people cannot be developed by being passive recipients of our program. They should be involved in the entire process from design, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. You should be part of the, and I'm happy that the National Planning Convention involved young people in its design. But I think the question we have for you, are you still involving them in the implementation? Very important. Soon we will come on your neck, but very important. Because Agenda 2063 is not agenda for me. I'm 47 years old now, 2063. I may be, God willing, maybe in the 70s. What will that agenda do to me? At Comesa Hall, the president announced, such district, 1 million. Such 1 million, please go to this office, get this money. We knew already that the youth are not now going to benefit. So all that money, if you tell me which youth benefited, you will not see. We had the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. If there was a very properly designed fund, was the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. And the president had a great idea, that's President being Wantani Kamei, so rest in peace. Very nice. It was meant to develop enterprises. Enterprise is not a loan where you go and buy chitenge in Tanzania and come back. That's not enterprise. Enterprise meant you start a bakery, you start a milk processing, you start a juice making, where you can also employ other young people. When it went to other structures and levels at Parliament, people say, no, everyone in my constituency should benefit. So it should be divided based on the constituency. Will that promote enterprises? Ask me now, which young person has benefited? Ndina pesa na uloni ndipo ndataniza anyamata. You will not find. And yet billions are gone. It came on to become MARDEF. As I'm talking now, it's called National Economic Empowerment Fund. The question, we are saying all these great initiatives have failed to develop young people. Because young people have failed to speak with one voice, to tap from these higher political resource opportunities. Ndiye imenipeleka challenge kwa in my youth group. To why I'm no longer youth, but that's your challenge. Organize yourself. Mount advocacy, tell NIF. We want such percentage to clearly go to the youth. Do you know that any politician fears the youth? But they don't fear the youth that I'm seeing. Because you're not speaking with one voice. Mukati muyambe ugawika naso mukati yazipani mukati mumwe haya si fetu ndi yawo kajamazi wazatuwa. Can you get resources like that? If we mounted advocacy and we benefited from our advocacy, we may not have benefited a lot, but at least timapindura nazo. So you have a challenge. My resources are equal. If you contract as equal, and we will have to be checking which youth are those that are benefiting. Next. Youth and agricultural development. We are talking about youth as the drivers of national development. Of the many other resources, Malawi has two key resources. Malawi has two key resources. One, it has its young population. Two, it has abundant fertile agricultural soils. For those of you who travel to Lesotho, to South Africa, even in Zimbabwe, a majority of their pieces of land are dry, rocky and dry. Almost anything grows in Malawi. You plant almost anything in Malawi, it will grow. And yet the youth are seated only tweeting and Instagramming or TikToking. Are you sure we are going to eat people dancing on TikTok? And yet all, when they say tea break, you are all queuing wanting to eat. Food comes from agriculture, not from tweeting. Because we always put quotes by Nelson Mandela. Please put that as a quote. Yeah. Food comes from agriculture and not from tweeting, Instagramming, and TikTok. That is by Marcel, Chisi, May 2022. So we need to make sure that with proper planning, well-structured social and economic policy formulation and implementation, Malawian youth can be mobilized for agricultural production and produce goods and services in the agricultural value chain. Youth participation in agriculture can be a highway to youth employment. Next. Unemployed youth often resort to antisocial behaviors of youth crime, political instability and revolutions, drug and substance abuse, mental health issues, and suicide. These are the causes of why young people have suicide, unemployment, and lack of opportunity. Agriculture offers opportunities along the agricultural value chain from crop production, processing of raw agricultural products, into food products, to distribution and marketing. So when we say youth involvement in agriculture, we are not saying you are going to take a hoe and start farming. Some of you might be involved in the value chain. You buy the produce, that's still agriculture. Some will process into nuts or peanuts, that's still agriculture. Some will do marketing to other markets, that's still agriculture. But first we need to do crop production. If Malawi can produce in surplus, we can sustain agriculture as the main forest exchange. And next, I've given there an example of soya beans and promero rice. By the way, these products are heavily sought after out there. Heavily sought after. And for example, promero rice, there are so many wetlands in Malawi. By now we could have encouraged young people to use those wetlands to produce promero rice. And then for soya, they don't even need fertilizer. And yet it's nowadays maybe 700 per kg, I think. It's 800. But they don't use fertilizers. You just need to till the soil plant and you take care. And you produce the money. And yet youth are sitting here doing nothing about it. So I think where are we getting it wrong? There is no political will. Why am I saying this? When they said agriculture input subsidy, this year, maybe next year, I'm being told that it is going to be targeting at farmer groups. Do you understand? So have we started creating agriculture farmer groups as youth? Then we need, because actually when they say subsidy, oftentimes the youth is not targeted. I don't know whether you see that. Fine, so I think we need to harness that. Next. The area of youth and education. I've put another quote for myself there. Nowadays, I'm just going to call myself a Malawian philosopher because I think I've learned a lot in this country. So the next quotation from me, not copied from anyone, from my own thoughts, is that it is a undeniable fact that education is one of the tools we can use to escape from poverty. That I'm saying because I'm a product of that. I escaped from poverty. I came from a rural home. And at the age of 20, due to education, I already saw the opportunities. And people think, so when people started hearing about me when I was 20 young, they thought I came from very affluent. No, it's education. So it's one of the tools we can use to escape from poverty, hopelessness and diseases, and help to develop our families, communities, and the country at large. Unfortunately, the youth in Malawi currently cannot be in agreement with this statement. Because we see more young graduates having no employment or opportunity for livelihood. Not so. And mkuzidwa mapunziro ndemene azapaseni kusogola bwi. Kwa mungu wapunzira ni masters koma ali even much worse than mungu amene sana tani. So they say good in statement in you honor. It is to some level, but currently the situation is slightly challenging. So our education should therefore be supported with entrepreneurship skills so that all the skill sets have livelihood pathways. 3 months ago, we were doing internship recruitment, and one young person has never been employed after graduating for 7 years. And I asked, what are your qualifications? He has a degree in literature. Do you understand? At Chancellor College, they teach literature. Now the issue is, what will a degree in literature do to help that young person earn a living? Because the idea is, what will the education do to create a living? Can you understand that? Yes. And so we have to help the young person. You can either be a teacher at a secondary school, or you can join any of the private schools. But the good side, he has started publishing a book. But we said, but what between publishing a book and earning money to marry, to found a family, it will take long before your book sales to become millions. Yeah. So we need to marry education with entrepreneurship skills so that young people can convert their knowledge into money. I don't know whether you understand. If you have been trained as a medical person, you can own your own private clinic, own a pharmacy, and stuff like that. So our education should also include civic education so that young people do not just learn to become educated, but they should grow to become useful citizens. They should also learn about citizens' rights and responsibilities in a democratic society. Learn to live in peace with all manner of people without discrimination, be it based on race, tribe, religion, political affiliation, disability, education, among others. So my next quote for today: if you are educated and you still discriminate against another person, your education has no value. Yeah. That's my next quote for you. If you are educated, you still believe your problems are because of a certain Yahweh, then you have a problem. Your education should help you to think that your problems are your problems, not because of a certain tribe. Ngati kwanu ko zinthu sizikuyenderani sichipwa cha roho yayi chipwa cha mafuta akwanu ngati sizikuyenderani sichipwa cha tungukani mafuta akwanu kapena kuna mizire ufiti kwa kumene zikapele kutingineyo kupangisa mafuta. We just have to face these realities if we have to develop a new life. But that does not move out from the fact that the government or the state is under obligation to create jobs and other livelihood opportunities. Childbearing with regard to what food, education, and health and other social support for effective growth and development. So as that family mugulemba news in the crime of Mukale. Please Mukale kuti activist wama youth wanena kuti wana family izikala dawili. Because we cannot wait for a parliamentary decision. Some of the children roaming in our streets are because some of you gave birth to those children and yet you have no means to take care of them. You should have children enough to take care of them. I do not have problems how many children an African man wants to have, in as long as he has the capacity to take care of them. A majority of you, your capacity cannot go beyond 2. Therefore, I propose 2. Not because I'm limiting you. If you have the capacity, produce 20. But I know you will not have the capacity to take care of them. In particular, I'm talking to the youth because currently there is population badge. Guess who is bearing these children? Do you know my youth? If I not see it's expensive to have children. Kapita kuina tima onesesa kukateteza mokwanira. Chimpanga mulera bana akakuza pia imwezi ukalanga tuwavuta ndingani zovuta. Koma imundameni mukupelekana. Where are you going to raise them? It's your generation. I go to schools all over Malawi. Every year, classrooms are not enough. Learners are learning outside. Every year. What does that mean? People are just bearing children uncontrollably. We are not stopping you from bearing as many children, in as long as you have the capacity to take care of them. Quote number 4. So Marcel, we do not have problems how many children Malawian men in particular, Malawian men wants to have, in as long as they have the capacity to take care of them.
End of quote.
Next. Youth and digital technology. The digital divide between urban and rural youth is increasingly closing. So now youth even in the rural areas, now WhatsApp is closing. Through virtual space, technological advancement in smartphones, digital satellite television, computers have made it possible to transmit information, but at the same time, technology has made it possible to innovate and use technology for business and economic advancement. Next. So I think that's an area we can harness using technology for business. Now the challenge is we are not using it for business. You go to Kenya, young people are creating apps, they are doing this, they are connecting businesses. Some of them are earning money on top of another business. They are not in agriculture, but they are earning money on top of using technology. In Malawi, technology is just for fun. Data bundles, data igwe. But using it for simple chatting from 10 p.m. up to 4 a.m. instead of making money. So use technology to innovate, to create money and wealth. Youth environment sanitation is another area where youth can take leadership. Trees are fast depleting, water resources are drying up, and there is a selfish disposal of waste without regard to its impact on the environment. Is an area that needs to take leadership, for the youth to take leadership for a good reason. The youth today will be the ones to face the adverse effects of climate change. You have already seen how the rains fell this year. That is climate change. And that is not yet the West. The West is coming. You will definitely die. At least we will die having enjoyed ourselves. Another quote. At least we will die having enjoyed ourselves. But you will die from climate-related disasters without enjoying yourself. So the youth today will be the ones to face the adverse effects of climate change. Therefore, there is need for youth to take active and leading role in planting trees and conserving the environment in general. You can drive the national agenda in conserving environment and taking care of biodiversity. So that's another area we need to challenge. So what is lacking as I'm finishing? What is lacking is that the youth targeting in agriculture is not there. We need mega farms in this country. You cannot, you just need one accountant for the whole of this hotel. This hotel, one accountant. But you need so many agricultural workers. So agriculture can create more jobs at one go. In the value chain, all that is agriculture. If we can't do that, we are in trouble. Secondly, youth need provenance for deliberate targeting of youth-specific interventions. There is money in NIF, National Economic Empowerment Fund. Let them give money to youth groups. Now I will tell you, which youth? Which youth? First, I always want to advocate youth who are already organized. If you go to unions, they will tell you the future belongs to the organized. We have youth who are in youth clubs, youth associations, youth groups. They are never targeted. None of them benefits. Where the money goes to the youth that I don't know. And that's where we have a problem. Because if you give money to single or to concerned youth organization or to early there, they will tell you next month, this is what the youth are now doing. They will not run away. But you are giving money to youth who we don't know. And that's a challenge for you, our principal in the ministry. We always need to give money to youth organizations. They should start enterprises that you can come and monitor. Because they are going to be there. Youth participation or appointments into boards, commissions, foreign missions, and other positions of importance. Again, take out youth appointment into these positions. Do you know which youth we are talking about? We are not talking just any other youth. We are talking to these youth who have shown good practice on the ground. And they have worked in this country to serve young people. More the appointing eyes don't see shy that he has worked. He has worked. And the appointing eyes don't see Shimweme. We want to challenge the appointing authority that we have youth in these youth organizations that have demonstrated unwavering leadership. They are there. If they want names, I can supply. I can supply. Not me. I don't need anybody's appointment. I'm already well off. I don't need anybody's appointment. Let me move myself. Because when I was at the GIA, I don't need anybody's appointment. I'm okay. If they appoint, I will accept this. If they appoint, I will accept this. National duty. Not because I need to go off. Can I wear off you? My hotel utaenda patoka. Si mtu mtanatumiza. Ndege itaenda patoka. Maipa kunja itaenda patoka. Sana tiseko ni Koma, if they call me for national duty, I cannot say no. But I don't want to jeer for me. I want these young people to be recognized. We want young people in boards of statutory corporations beyond the National Youth Council. Please, those you who write in the media indicate kuti activists walalata. Akuti mumabozi ama mabodi osewa muzikala mnyamata muzi chipamene agenda amene next level of leadership asakala akiwo. And my youth wasaba ngochoka kuina kosa ziwa ife. Azichoka mabulu amene ife twatani. And those groups are coordinated by the ministry through youth clubs and associations and the National Youth Council through NGOs. Ndiye mayuthi na kutenga mayuthi ake yati osaziwa ife. We want these youth to participate. Lack of support and capacity building for youth who want to contest as councillors and MPs. Azimai amanda support. Atufuna azimai usta contest apase capacity building mzikala kuna choncho mzika choncho. There is no one who supports a young person who wants to take up leadership. I wish the commercial was here. I used to be a commercial. Because that's another area we need money. Mwapasa kaunga zao tiambira kanibuga makansala zika ni they should build the capacity of my youth. This is how to campaign. This is how to dislodge your opponent. But no one is having money for young people who are aspiring for leadership. Lack of capacity building of youth servicing organizations to effectively advocate for youth spaces. That's another area that is lacking. Next. Dysfunctional and ineffective youth councils to profile and fight for the issues of affecting young people. Please help us. You know, when the advocate for the Chief Executive Youth Council came, people said, Master, I won't apply. I said, I think I am not applying. Chuko masters you ilipo ditu. Chuko pali siyo gulafu ya kusukuru. I said, even if I go to the council, would I really make a difference? And I said, Anyamata azamini na kwambili azaneo timamuona, wapita kukaso panapodia sabu tangizilatu. Something needs to be done to the council in terms of governance. It needs to be done. Chukwan, how is it now? Please help us. Let the appointing authority appoint young people, chairpersons, who can question how the executive director is functioning. Because without that, the council will remain the same. By the way, I'm a founder member of the National Youth Council. We fought for that from the National Youth Council Act, 1996, up to the first board in which I also sat. So I'm not just talking from without. And our board in the first years under chairmanship of Shimweme Matongo was a very powerful board. And that's why a number of young people, Tinakwenya president, Mpaka president, I will not hesitate to appoint any young person into positions of importance. The same year, Anyamata Timaigidwa, kulikosa mayuthi tu haikamo, mayuthi tu, ndiye mayuthi otunena ama bungwe, osaka ungo tola msewia. Ungo namiza masungo tega mpaku palike kuna kusiwa. We need ama bungwe. Because that's where they will build the next level leadership and grow. So, we want a National Council to be better. But we also need more funding for the youth programs by the ministry. There we are talking for you, madam. Maybe you can now begin to think that we want more money for yourselves. Because our ministry is the one that is completely under-resourced. And how can they support young people? How can young people benefit? But there is also limited accountability of which youth are benefiting from the programs of the ministry and National Youth Council. When we talk about limited accountability, mukati yai timagula chitu ni madefu agawandrama kwa chimati. Musiti uza nyamata ake ku youth activist organization 50 youth. Ku concerned youth 20. Tiziona ma anyamata bila kutani akupindwa. We can hardly point at any young person who is benefiting. And that's where our problem is, information management system. And then there is lack of spirit of nationhood and patriotism among the youth to advance the national agenda. So I think this one is now not any person's problem. This one is now a problem of Buna, you the youth. Lack of nationhood and patriotism. And how you many effect Mayamba that to the youth is. City Mayanga na kwa Ndarama. Timayanga na kujitigre nchitu. So we worked with youth across the country, Sitimaona na through tribal lenses. Sitimaona na through other lenses. But nowadays you look at a person with lenses, tribal lenses, regional political lenses. That's where the problem is. When young people want to make one voice, it should be young people regardless of which grouping you come from. Finally, youth have the power to positively change the world. However, as Mohandas K. Gandhi said, and I quote, if you want change, be the change you would like to see in the world. Also, as Martin Luther King said, if you cannot run, then walk. If you cannot walk, then crawl. For sure, you always have to keep moving. As young people, we are urged to wake up to that challenge and be willing to stand up, pull our sleeves, think innovatively, and be always doing something and keep moving. Next. But there is also a challenge to the young people, because now is not kulimida na kwambiri maudindo. Now is not sema networking machanti kumboka kangana. But we should know we cannot all be captains. So let's respect every work and rise up to the challenge and be the best we can do. For if we cannot be a tree on top of the hill, be a shrub in the valley, but be the best little shrub on the side of your hill. And if you cannot be a highway where so many cars pass, be a trail. There are so many people that pass in those roads than in the highway. So be a trail. And if you can't be the sun, be the star, for it is not by size that you win or you lose. So be the best of whatever you are.
Before you actually...
Most of the times, young people, we complain that we're not being recognized, or we're not being used by maybe the government and other organizations. We have one problem sometimes as young people: we do not show up. We do not show up on the limelight to make them recognize us. They cannot find us in our houses. No, they cannot. They cannot find us in wherever it is that we be. So let's show up. Let's show up. Let's make sure we get our ideas known. Most of the times, young people, we are known for violence. We are known at being aggressive on the internet. We go on the internet and we claim that the world is becoming, the world is being dynamic and technological, and then we go on the internet. Instead of us to be beneficial to ourselves and to the country or the internet, we just insult people and they don't take us serious. So we should start to do things that the government and other organizations will start taking us seriously. And one thing, my fellow youth, avoid being used. Most of the times we think we are participating in politics and governance, whilst in real sense we are being used by the politicians. Avoid being used. Stop painting yourselves. Stop being on the limelight singing songs of things that are not going to help you but help other people who are enough to take care of themselves after they retire. You are the future of today, not tomorrow. They lied to you. You are supposed to live today. Young people avoid being used. And he mentioned about education. Most of the times we complain that we're not maybe being used because they want people who can think like the way he is thinking, to draft things the way he is drafting things. So if you want to be recognized, be in the limelight, get yourself an education, do something that they should recognize you. And by that, they can start recognizing us and we can be the country that we want to be. Thank you.
But stop painting yourselves from what you want. Going for the microphone.
Mine would say comment. It's especially on you have to say that most of the problems in, let's say, on NIF, on AIP, we say that youth also were part of the problem. But from my spin, the way I say it, I think it's most things in Malawi, like development part, is driven by politics. So it's mostly the political will, not the development part of it. For example, on issues of AIP, like agriculture sector, most of its funding goes for AIP. AIP is just basically on the success of, I would say, the fertilizers and maize. While the fact that on AIP you can actually get basic one. For example, like even youth participation in it. Because if you see even on the beneficiaries list, it's mostly households or old people. They don't see, look at, let's say a youth, young people cross, they can't put me on the list and you want to but many those things can be actually inclusion of youth on the same, even on NIF. If I say there was a time where we won a grant for Agrico, it's a youth led. So went to NIF so that maybe we should get some loans so that we can lead up to the 30% of the initial grant for you to get it to pay at least 30% of it. So went to NIF. We did everything, we did not get the grant. Like the loan, we did not get it from NIF. So on our part, we did everything which they told us to do, but then we did not get it. So my point is, sometimes youth are really trying, but then because of political issues and other things, like it's not really supporting us. They just put it on paper that we do this for you, but then on the implementation side, youth are not being supported too. So if we are to put blame on anybody, I think everyone deserves to take part of it. Youth on the other part, the other issue is on politics. So maybe we change the mindset that things should not be driven by political will, but on what is needed at that particular time.
Any other comment?
Question your lead presentation. Your presentation was wow, and I enjoyed it. Okay, I just wanted to make a comment on the youth participation, youth entrepreneurship and economic participation. We can all agree that in Malawi, we have high unemployment rates, and like for us youth to find decent jobs this time is pretty hard. So I think let's start now, or rather I should say, let's be thinking outside the box. I think entrepreneurship can only be the pathway to decent jobs. And as the youths, let's now start to demand government to put favorable conditions so that as the youths, we can venture into SMEs, that's small and medium enterprises, without any predicaments. So as for the youths, let's stand, let's voice out, let's demand government to put favorable conditions so that entrepreneurship, we can be doing no businesses. As I've already said, entrepreneurship this time around can only be the pathway to decent jobs. Thank you very much.
The youth need to show up. You can't be counted unless you show. For example, you can't be appointed in other processes and structures unless you're an active member of groupings. And I think that is important. A number of us hide in our homes and we don't do the groundwork and expect to be recognized. It doesn't work that way. You still have to do some work and be counted. And if they don't count you, that's when you can voice to say, but wait a minute. But the other one is that he said youth are not taken seriously because akutukwana pa WhatsApp, pa Facebook, ndiye olonene kuti kufuna kuti mudiyangane, akuyangana bwanji makayima. I want to add on that one. Kuti anyamata amene mukufuna muzibidwe kaya mukapita ku msonkhano kulilongwe kandi kumangoshi. Show a sense of leadership. Do you understand? Yeah. Inetu ndita kuvala t-shirt ndi msonkhano. Chifukwa dzina ninapanga kale. People will not value me based on what I'm putting on. Koma youth aina kuvala kwino, amete kwino, asante kwino chupa, you are still building yourself up, you are profiling yourself up. Ndiye maona chimweka onga amene ali mbuyo. Amene wotu anali kwa National Men's Commission, nali kamiyamata, anali youth representative. Chupa akala akuzichita project, you should project yourself with dignity and self-respect. So no muntu upita kumsonkhano ofunikira wavala t-shirt icho kwefuka mpaka chikulekezwa mapepe. And you know koma simkuti yangana koma akuyangane. Sometimes kunabizira ungawisho sibwino ya. If you want to be recognized, show up. 1, 2, develop a sense of dignity and self-respect. And finally, you need to have knowledge. I think somebody indicated that education is also very important. So you need to have knowledge so that you can articulate issues. People will not just put you in a position of importance because you are a youth, but because you are a youth who has added value. And for those who were denied the issues by NIF, I wished I was the youth that I was before. By next 2 weeks, you don't even attach that to be you in the digital proof. Unfortunately, people question me, Chisi, youth. We need young voices to speak out on such things. And then you get the benefits of natural resources. Thank you.
Can we have those microphones that make sure that the brothers are moving age? You know, it goes on and on. When they become women, you know, it starts from being used. We play the use when you're young, when you're growing up, you can't even further your education. You're just being used to being now a homemaid and stuff when you could have furthered. So it doesn't stop anywhere. It's from these levels that we develop, and then from there we go on. Yes, you're coming on.
And most of the young people, when you have issues, what you do is, hey, and then you're like being violent when presenting the issues. So instead of people listening to the point that you're making, they ignore you, they think you just want to vent your problems, and then they should pay. So when you're presenting your issues, even no matter how hard it is, take away the emotions and present your issues properly so that people can take you seriously when you're presenting your issues. You need self-confidence. You can't just sit and then attend the meeting and probably get allowances and you leave, and then you think you make a difference. That's why we keep talking about meaningful participation. Meaningful participation means don't just sit there and listen and then accept everything that people are saying. Because not all the time when people are making decisions, they are youth-friendly. Sometimes they are not. And then because you are there, so long as you're there, and they will say, you know, when we were making this decision, there was a young person there, and then they say young people were involved. When you go to the meetings, whenever you are involved, make sure you make a difference. Make sure you are noticed. And again, don't take out emotions out of it and present them maturely so that people can take you seriously. Yes. On the issue of NIF to target organized youth, sometimes, you know, much as it's pointed at the Ministry of Youth, this thing is very tricky because sometimes it gets political. I remember we had a meeting where we were discussing about how to get the young people to be involved in these economic empowerment funds. But then the moment this come out of the political mouth, it now becomes political. And even the young people that benefit from this, they are always not necessarily the young people. But then they are the ones who are active in the community, in their parties. And then the youth club, youth network, and youth organization, they are busy just doing sexuality education and other things. So if you're not organized and you watch these things happening, we can't make a difference. We can't make a change in this country. Make delivery move when you see something is not going on right. Make it known. For example, I'm in Capital Hill. I cannot know what is happening in London. And then at the end of the day, Ministry of Youth is not doing anything. And yet you saw that's why we are not even able to account for who got the loan, who did not. And at Nyamata, make use of the youth office that exists in every district. Do you know that every district has a youth office? Do you guys know? Yes. Blood type very good. There are two of them in blood type. There's the city one and the district, the rural one, isn't it? Make use of those. For example, the Ishiani, if you can, son of person loan, you should have taken it to the DY, you should have helped. Pass by my office, they are policy implementers. They are there to support you guys. Then they will not know. As always, our resources are not enough, so she cannot go all over, like be everywhere. But then when you bring the issues to them, some of them can be rectified. And mindset change is key to everything. Business as usual, asset visa, this thing don't work because we are young people and they don't take us seriously. That's why sitting at home and they saying, "No, don't take us seriously even if we present our issues." Nothing will change. You have to be proactive. And in our groups, let's empower the young ones. Let's empower each other to make sure we make a difference. We are known. If we take business as usual, us, when we're making decisions, we think we are making the decisions that are best for you, not knowing they are impeding on you. So, be proactive in the issues. Something is going on wrong, let us know. Let the officers know. Instead of just going on social media, not everybody will see that. Some are not even on Facebook, are not on Twitter, or even if you tweet it and then it trends and whatever, but then it will not reach where it's supposed to go. Use the proper offices and proper channels to make your issues known as well. Thank you.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I'll have to curtail this debate, but I won't leave you out.
The divide is shrinking between those who are in urban and those who are in rural areas. And on that issue of digital divide is very crucial. It's something that we as youth, we can use that to our advantage. Because normally digital divide, it talks about having access to the technology. So I think right now, in our nation, Malawi, we have like a lot of opportunities at the moment because of all these companies, telco companies coming in and providing maybe affordable access to digital gadgets like mobile phones, and also talking of prices maybe of routers and what have you, the prices have gone down, and also the prices of data rates like bundles and what have you. So it's something that we can use to our own advantage. So on the issue of digital divide, the companies and people out there, they have given us that access to the technology. But now it's up to us to take it to another level. Because access only to technology, it won't help us solve our problems unless we know how to use that technology. So as youth, I think we have a responsibility. We have to take it upon ourselves, maybe to find enough skills on how we can use the technology that we have been given access to. So we need usability skills when accessing the technology, not just maybe browsing haphazardly. And another thing is on the empowerment divide. The empowerment divide is also another aspect of digital divide. Apart from just having access to the technology, apart from having just skills to the technology, we also need to benefit from the technology that we have accessed. So I think that is our responsibility as well. As Mr. Chisi said, a lot of us were just online, we are busy with a lot of things which are not even beneficial to our careers. They're not even beneficial to whatever we are doing. But now we can harness the power of technology to benefit us. We can harness the power of technology to benefit our families, even our community, even our nations. But we're not doing that. We are busy chit-chatting on these online platforms when we can use the technology even to better our academic life, even to better maybe our businesses, to find new information about a lot of things that are happening like there. Now right now with the technology, there are a lot of things that have come in. There are issues of maybe dairy farming and what have you. Maybe want to venture into agriculture. There are a lot of information on internet on how we can go about that. But most of us as youth, we are busy chatting and what have you, and we're not benefiting from that technology. So my point is, we have been given access to the technology. We must know how to use it, and we must also know how to benefit from it.